Hey everyone, ever wondered how to properly clean a fish tank? Well, if you don't know, hopefully you will by the end of this video, so let's get started. Okay, the first thing you want to do when cleaning a fish tank is remove all the decorations and little plants that are in it. So a lot of fish tanks have something like these, or a little house, something for the fish to go into. You want to remove all of those first, so it'll be a lot easier to catch your fish if you do that. So that's your first step, to take out any decorations and plants. The second step is to take out the pump and the water heater or the filtration, anything that's in every fish tank's different. Some don't have them, but if you have a bigger fish tank, you probably have one. So this is the pump. You're going to want to make sure to take that out. It's a lot easier so the fish don't go behind it while you're trying to get them out. After the tank is empty, it's just the rocks and the fish. It's a lot easier to catch them. So you're going to use your fish net and you'll scoop your fish out. And one thing you want to do to put your fish in is you're going to take some water that's already in the tank, so it's the same temperature, because you don't want to shock the fish and harm them in any way, so you want the water temperature to be the same. So you're just going to scoop some water out and put your fish in a container. Depending on how many you have is how big of a container you'll need. I just use this picture because we only have a few small fish, and so they're in here. Okay, after that you're going to want to take your tank and empty it out completely. So you want to dump the rocks, all the water out into a sink or outside, however you want to do it, and dump the rocks into a colander. It'll help them from falling out. You don't want to lose any of those pebbles or anything, because you can clean those too. So once you get all the rocks out of the water and all the water out of them, you want to rinse them under the colander, so you can take it under the sink and shake them to help get any of the algae or anything that's on it out. After you do that, you're going to put the rocks into a pot. Depending on how many you have is how big of a pot you'll need. So this is what we have. And you want to cover it in water, so you'll just need just enough water to cover the top of the rocks. And then you're going to boil them. It helps kill any of the bacteria, because one thing you should know when you're cleaning out a fish tank is to not use any cleaning supplies that can really harm the fish. If there's any traces of bleach or any other cleaner in there, it'll harm them because it'll get in the water. So you're just going to want to boil it in hot water to kill any bacteria. After you get done boiling the rocks, you're going to put them back in your colander, dump them in the sink, and rinse it under hot water a few times to get any of that algae that's on the rocks or that was in the water out. And after you're done with that, you can add your rocks back into your tank after you've wiped your tank down. So once again, you don't want to use any chemicals. So you would just use water to rinse it out. A washcloth or a brush works good if there's a lot of algae buildup. So you could just use a dish brush to clean it with, and the same when you're cleaning all of your decorations. You can just wipe them off, use a brush. If it's hard to get in anything, that's what you want to use. So after you have everything clean, you can start putting it back in the tank. You put the rocks down first. It's a lot easier that way, and then you add your decorations. You slowly add water, that way you don't push everything out. The water you're going to want to add is going to need to be room temperature to slightly warmer, depending on the type of fish. Most of the time you're going to want it room temperature. So after you get your tank filled back up and you get it back, lights plugged in, you can start adding back your pump and your heater. One thing with your pump, after you clean your tank, you're going to want to change your filter, or it's just going to get the water dirty again. So you remove the filter from the pump and you're going to want to add a new filter. That's really important. You want to make sure that it starts filtering the water, or you're just going to get all the stuff you've cleaned dirty again. When you go to add the fish back in, you can't just dump them out of the container they're in into the water. You need to get a Ziploc bag or a plastic bag, whichever, and fill that with water. You can just leave the water that's in here. So you're going to want to pour some of this water into the bag, and then you're going to slowly add the fish in carefully. And whenever you go to close it, you want to make sure you leave some air at the top. Like, there's air in this bag, there's no water in it, but once you add the water, you're going to want to have air at the top, because you're going to place this bag into the tank, and if there was no air in the top, the bag would close when it went to the water, and the fish, it'd be a lot easier for them to get caught in folds in the bag. And you're going to let them sit in this bag inside of the tank for 2 hours, because that's going to help them get acclimated to the water again, so it's not like a temperature shock. And whenever that's time, you always make sure that your fish tank isn't filled completely full, so when you pour the water from the bag, you don't overspill. But that's my simple instructive video on how to clean out a fish tank. I hope that was helpful. Thank you for watching.